The real enemy is bringing immigrants. They bringing immigrants into the United States by the millions, to use them against us. And when I say us, of course, I mean the black descendants of slaves first, but then against us, indigenous, Mexican population, against us, the general American population. So who is this real enemy that's making it legal and making it policy to be able to bring immigrants from wherever? Because Mexicans don't qualify as illegal immigrants. That don't qualify because we living in Mexico. America is Mexico. 3/4 of America is Mexico. So that's not who we talking about. We talking about the real enemy, the one that Minister Farrakhan, of course, been exposing since the early 80s, the one that Candace Owens been exposing and just now got silenced or suspended off of YouTube for exposing. The real enemy, that's the powers and the ownership and the influencers and the controllers behind money and media. Money and media, the real enemy, the people that are not elected, but the people that get and control and buy elected officials. That real enemy are the ones that's putting policies in place and forcing these presidents and vice presidents and governors to allow immigrants to come in by the millions. And for y'all that don't know, the descendants of slaves, black people, it's only like 49 million of us in America, 49, 50 million of us in America. And within the last few years, the government or the real enemy has allowed the government to bring in at least 20 or 21 million, half of our whole population, half of the black descendants of slave population has been brought in, so-called illegal, undocumented immigrants. For what purpose? And they providing jobs and food stamps and housing and all kind of stuff for them. Of course, because it's going to be, for one, cheaper labor from people who going to appreciate being here, as opposed to the people that did free labor for 400 years and are treated like trash and refuse to be given what we're owed. So they want to create unrest. They want to create a civil war or whatever among the poor and bring new soldiers in to fight against us, to keep us distracted, to keep us canceling each other out, while they finish putting their New World Order rulership plans all the way in place. Because they see that we waking up, especially, like I said, people like, Minister Farrakhan, of course, is the number one champion of exposing who the real enemy is that's doing all this. That's the architects behind all this. It's the people that own and control money and media. So if you control money, then you control politicians. You control policies and governments. Whoever those people are, which happen to be Kamala Harris's husband's people. These are the people, they call them Democrats or they call them liberals, but it go on both sides. They do it on both sides, Republican, conservative, and Democrat liberals or whatever. It's Coke and Pepsi, you know what I'm saying? We talking about the people behind them. Because these presidential candidates, they only get 4 years apiece, 8 at the most. So they not running and controlling and owning nothing. They're presidents of a corporation that's owned by people that ain't voted in or voted out. You know what I'm saying? They constantly ruling. And they don't hire new presidents for 4 years and new vice presidents and put the people that they want in place. So those are the pharaohs. Those are the real rulers that bring in all of these people, because they got to build up their army. They got to build up a new army to go against us. The ones that they owe and the ones that they know is waking up and getting hip to them and now focusing our attention and our anger towards them. So they got to bring in some new troops and incentivize them, give them an incentive to fight for, you know, citizenship in America. They'd be willing to go to the military. They'd be willing to do cheap labor jobs. They'd be willing to fight against us and fight against the ghettos and the black ghetto gangs. And you know what I'm saying? If you're familiar with the destabilization of governments, how jackals, or it's a dude y'all should look up called John Perkins. His name is John Perkins, but he's what was called an economic hitman. So he on the internet on a little documentary called Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and it lays out in detail their strategy of how they cause unrest and cause revolution and bring in new people to overthrow these people and overthrow governments. So that's where we at right now. They absolutely have brought in immigrants, and you know, by the millions. Just think about that. In just the last few years, millions. It ain't even enough money for us, right? So they say, but they found billions and billions and billions for Ukraine. They find billions and billions every year for Israel. They find billions and billions for all these other little wars or whatever they got going on. But they don't got nothing for us but immigrants to fight against us. We heard the Trump people or whatever, he was talking about that. You know, I'm not for either one of them, but I just know what I know, and my job is just to share with y'all what that's all about, because all of them is our enemies. I'm talking about the descendants of slaves. They all are enemies, but you got to know which one can be used. You know, the enemy of my enemy is temporarily my ally. So you got to know which one is which. First things first, which ones you got to get rid of first. The British did it too, trying to use freedom as a tool if we fought with the redcoats. Right, right. Same playbook.
What's up, Cam?
Man, what's good with you?
Man, checking in from Flint, Michigan.
Oh, from Flint, salute. So yeah, you just
Salute
said exactly what you know, part of what I was saying. What's your thoughts on that?
Man, I just want to say, man, everything you said is right and on point, man. They bringing all them immigrants in, and they're using them more than likely as a tool, you know what I'm saying, to get rid of us. Right. You know what I'm saying, from a different, but they're using the same tricks they've been using, though.
Yeah, same playbook.
The same tricks, man. Same thing, man. Like with the Union Army, when Lincoln tried to free the slaves, he used that same trickery, man. And I just want to say too, man, I've been watching your stuff lately, man, and man, you've been on so much on point, man. I'm glad that you came up with this YouTube stuff, man, because man, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a spiritualist, man. I believe in God, but I do follow the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Right. I do tune in to Farrakhan, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Right. I tune in to Nuri Muhammad. I tune in to all of the brothers in the NOI, because though I may have some theological differences in what I might believe in, y'all on point, man. Right. Y'all on the point with that Bible and that Quran, man. And I salute y'all for that.
Man, likewise, because if you say you a spiritualist, as long as you acknowledging that us as human beings have a spirit, you know what I'm saying? We say the same thing. We might be putting certain titles on this or that, but we saying exactly the same thing.
I've been watching you, man. I've been watching you ever since you started your campaign trail. I was like, yeah, that's a dope name right there. I was like, yeah, that's tight. And cool. I just been tuning in, and I've been listening to you, man. And
well, I be on subjects though. So if you got any subject, it could be about anything. It could be about relationships. It could be about entertainment. You know, I ain't really doing politics, but I can stay on the surface of politics without going into looking like I'm choosing. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you this too. Before I know I've been saying I'm gonna get off, but I gotta ask you this one question. How do you feel about former President Donald Trump? Because I know y'all against abortion and all that stuff, man. Right. How do you feel about his stance on that portion of whatever he
I always tell my brothers, especially my grown peers, to never ask another man how he feels about something. Instead, ask, what do we think? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Because our feelings is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Actually, that's why we in the problem, the condition we in, because we going by feeling instead of thinking.
That's the facts. Yeah.
But you know, if we going by the same standard that they shoved down our throat the last 4 years, talking about the lesser of two evils, you know, from my view and by hindsight, Trump, his enemies is the same as our enemies. You know what I'm saying? The people that he say is his enemies, because he been going against the IRS, the mainstream media, the Federal Reserve, you know, the FBI, the CIA.
Right.
All the people that he say was corrupt and deep state and draining the swamps and all that. So, and naming names, like saying that George Soros was evil and, you know, the rich globalists and all. So if we just going by words, then 100%. Look who Harris is married to. Look what she said when she was asked specifically, do you support reparations for black people? But you got a husband that's getting reparations, people, you know, for 76 years.
Man, that's another thing, man. It is, man. Well, I'm gonna get some of this global warming. That's what Michigan looking like right now. I'm on my deck on my front porch.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not into piles of tricks or politicians, trick magicians. But if you're gonna ask, you know, I can say what I can say, but I'm not into that one way or the other. But yeah, this real enemy, the ones that have power and control over setting American policy, because obviously America, the Congress and the House of Representatives and whatever, the Senate, obviously they ain't setting their own policies. Obviously they being lobbied and influenced and controlled by some other force that's our strongest allies in the region. So that's the enemy influence that's bringing immigrants, that's saying that's a good idea to bring immigrants by the millions, by the tens of millions into the country so they can take our place, so they can work for cheaper and be happier about working for cheaper because they're being provided with these opportunities in America to do what they wasn't ever able to do in the country they just came from. They're getting more opportunities than we get, you know, and we're owed, the whole country is owed to us. It's our blood, sweat, and tears and all that. So they know that, and that's how they do their psychological warfare, is how they destabilize whole governments by finding the dissatisfied pockets of rebels or whatever, and then they fund them with money and media and drugs and guns, weapons, and turn them, you know, against who they want to turn them against. In this case, you know, it's the descendants of slaves. So they want to bring immigrants here that, like they say, many of them are criminals, you know, just like the dregs of society of Great Britain or England. Founding fathers that was sent over here was criminals. They got kicked out of England and they got exiled and sent over here, and they became the founding father presidents, the heroes over here. So don't act like this ain't the same playbook. So if things get too hot over here, then they gonna do the same thing. We give us your poor, your tired, whatever, you know, with the land of the free, Statue of Liberty, whatever it say on that. Give us your tired, give us your poor, something. Yeah, give us your criminals, give us your mental health patients, give us your gang members. We'll take them. We got jobs for them. We're going to pit them against them descendants of slaves and them native indigenous and against the Mexican population, and have them fight and feud with each other and cause a whole unrest while we finish our New World Order plans.